Hi guys, how are you doing today? Hope you're having a sunny day. Ready for some new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. About OP, whose fiance cheated on her, so she called off the wedding. But now he's begging her to not leave him and marry him, because karma came after him very quickly. Listen to the story, guys, to find out how, and of course to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. A little backstory is that my fiance and I have known each other since we were in elementary school, and we grew up with each other. We both come from religious families. This is important for later. When we graduated high school, I chose to go to college, and he went to the military. At that point, we were dating for 2 years, and then we got engaged when I was 21 and he was 22, so a year ago. We were doing long distances because he was stationed in a different state. The plan was that I was going to graduate college and then go down there and find a job where he is stationed. A couple of months ago, I got a call from a friend who lives down there, and he told me that my fiance is dating another girl and has been for months now. He sent me pictures of her social media. My fiance was coming home for a couple of weeks for my graduation. I thought this would be a good time to talk this out rather than over the phone. When he came back, I sat him down and asked him. He did not deny it. He said that he likes her, but loves me. I'm heartbroken. We've been together for years now, and he did this. I called off the engagement and broke up with him. Now, here's where the religion comes in. I was raised with you didn't have S before marriage, and he was the same. I know some people think this is weird. It is just how I was raised. We had this talk when we got together about not having S before marriage, and we both agreed to wait. Well, he decided when he was down there he would get a girlfriend to take care of his needs. After we broke up, I talked to my parents about it and the change of plans. Then I called his family and talked to them. It is not unusual for me to talk to his family because I help his sister, 16 female, if she has a problem or just needs a girl to talk to that is not her parents or a friend of hers. So I called and they invited me to dinner. I went and told them what happened because he just told them we were having a fight. The grandma was there and she was pissed. I used to go over every week to play mahjong with her because I love to play, and no one else in her family likes to. She kept begging me to take back her grandson and that she would force him to make up with me. I didn't put much thought into it because she was mad. A couple of days later, he was blowing up my phone with calls and messages. His grandma's cutting him out of the will unless he gets back together with me and we get married. I told him no because he hurt me, and nothing he can say will make me take him back. No, I will not be doing that. His family is really well off and has a very successful business. So when his grandma dies, he is supposed to take over. But if he is cut out, he cannot, and he will get nothing. He even tried to pay me to marry him. I was talking to some of my friends, and they think I am the a-hole and should forgive him and get married to him, just so he is back in the will. Because I am just mad now, and this will ruin his life. And think about him and his future. So many of my friends are saying this. I'm starting to think about it. What do you think? Am I the a-hole? Well, if OP had asked his grandmother to cut him out, then OP would have been in the wrong, but she didn't. She cut him out because she was upset with his behavior. He made his bed, and now he gets to lie in it. OP was just honest to people she considered family. He knew what he was doing, and he knew how his family would feel about it. Marrying him now would just seem like marrying him for his money. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. C. Everett Marm says, not the a-hole. All of your friends are a-holes who have zero regard for you as a human being. Spiritual Ad says, not the a-hole. Cheating should be a huge deal breaker in any relationship because you're not only breaking someone's heart, you're also breaking the trust they had in you. Awkward Impression 72 says, not the a-hole. Perfect example of F around and find out. Your ex is reaping what he sowed. He betrayed you, full stop. You have absolutely no obligation to him, let alone take him back. You have no control over what his grandma does with her will. Tell your friends to stuff it with the ruining his life BS. He did that all on his own. My stepmom was a nasty woman to grow up with. Mean, vindictive, and had an inferiority complex that she used to attack everyone who was doing well, especially those doing better than her. My dad spent my childhood over the road, and mom was in and out of inpatient facilities until she passed. So a lot of my time was spent with her being my only available carer or guardian. I won't BS and say I was perfect, but I wasn't bad. Good student, involved in the community and school activities, and as soon as I could work, I got a job. My biggest issue was that I often took an attitude with her and her family, all of whom sucked to be near. These people have been in my life since I was 4. I'm now in my late 20s, and not one of them were ever supportive or kind. I had aspirations to go to school and be a psychologist, a teacher, a therapist, a veterinarian. Honestly, I think I just liked the structure school offered and wanted to continue with it after graduation. But as soon as I was handed my diploma, my stepmom handed me a notice to vacate the property. Less than a month later, I was gone. To be fair to him, my father did try to intervene and protect the eviction, since it was his home. But she was the main occupant in the house, and we were informed by a local cop that she could in fact remove me from the home and press trespassing charges if I ever came back. To this day, I think he was likely full of crap, but didn't want to deal with it. So I was 18, homeless, and supposed to start college a few months later. And I had chosen a local school and rejected better scholarships so I could stay home and save money on housing. I found a place with a man that became my best friend, and I did try to attend school. But honestly, it just didn't feel right anymore. Between full-time work just to scrape by and the mental health issues that arose in the aftermath, I couldn't continue and dropped out. My dad was unable to offer much support, and most of my family never cared to intervene since she had convinced the majority of them that I had chosen basically to go no contact with them. She would call and gloat about how hard the real world is, make snide comments about my dying mother, and in the same breath, offer sympathy and support if I came back home. At holiday dinners, she would tell everyone I was the first psychologist she'd ever seen working the till at McDonald's, and if I defended myself, I would be chastised for not taking a joke. It was humiliating, and after a few years, I realized I could block her, and she couldn't do crap about it. So I did. My life did turn around. I work as a pastry chef in a bakery I adore, and would love to buy someday if the owner would let me when he retires. It's not a life I ever imagined for myself, but it's a good one that I share with my fiance, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. In the past 2 years, I resumed contact with my dad, and as a result, his wife again. He's still a doormat, and she's still a see you next Tuesday. But she's not picking on a little girl anymore, and I bite back now. I've also managed to contact my mom's family, who had been estranged from her for decades before she died, and met people who could have truly loved me if they had known I existed. Dad's family are kept at arm's length, but I finally have a family that I can talk about when my friends are discussing holiday plans, and that's all I ever wanted. Doing what I do for a living, I always show off a bit at family gatherings, and I've often made custom cakes for relatives when asked. Boundaries have been established, and after the first cousin who tried pushing them found herself without a cake on her son's birthday, they are respected. Stepmom hates my job. She hates that I'm happy, that I don't care if I'm a bit plump, that I'm engaged, and she's not allowed near the wedding. She hates that I'm good at what I do, and try as she might, the only thing she can ever insult is the fondant, which, fair, I don't care for it either. At my dad's birthday party last month, I baked a lovely 3-tier red velvet cake for him and provided numerous pastries as well as a cookie buffet. My boss is a godsend for letting me use his industrial kitchen to make it all. Day of, all stepmom could say was my cake tasted like a box mix, and that was it. 2 decades of aggression, and I was finally done trying. I spent days making everything I provided, all free of charge, and she compared my labor and knowledge to ducking Betty Crocker. No shame to anyone who bakes, likes Betty or any other boxed mix, but it's like comparing fast food to your own home cooking, and the fast food being preferred. A total slap in the face to the hours of labor and effort, and years spent honing and perfecting recipes. She asked me at the beginning of February to bake her cake for her 50th. No other details other than she didn't want red velvet, and it was for 100 people. I agreed. I stocked up on Duncan Hines and canned frosting, slapped the frosting on top of crappy sheet cakes a day before, and didn't bother decorating any of them. Stepmom was livid. I ruined her birthday, embarrassed her in front of her friends and family. How could I be so callous, etc.? I just told her she compared my cake at Dad's party to Betty Crocker, so she must prefer low-effort cakes. I left shortly after she started crying. Apparently, she had planned on Instagramming the party and had planned on my normal quality of care for my desserts. Dad didn't care. He just said it was best if I'm not around her for a bit, and we meet up somewhere other than his house. I don't want to be near her again, and I hoped her family choked on that dry cake. OP did what she has said about OP's skills for years. She has criticized OP's skills, yet expected OP to produce something fabulous for her to brag about and show off. She ducked around and found out. Bravo to OP for giving her more than she deserved. Bald Chihuahua says, "Burn. I hope the bee enjoyed her low-quality cake, because that's what she deserved." Galadriel 60 says, "Your father is worse than she is in my opinion, for allowing her to mistreat you. Well done for you raising yourself, and I always wanted to be an expert baker." Throwaway says, "It's good that your dad is willing to meet you without her. It would be better if you can make him understand that he needs to find a way to separate himself from her with regards to your relationship, so that you can have one with him and not with her. Or he may find that he isn't going to have much of a relationship with you in the future, because it's quite clear that you will be much better off having nothing to do with her ever again. May you have a long, happy, joyous life, and may she have eternal cat butt face because of it." I, 26 female, loved my fiancé Jack, 29 male, but unfortunately, I realized that he is so much into his family, he's not ready to build his own. We've been together since 2020. He's living next door to his parents. He is on a rental. His house door is 2 steps away from his parents' house. Currently, I don't have any issue with that, but I don't want that house to be our first home, not only because of his parents. That house has been his bachelor house for like 3 years. Even to this time, every night his friends come over, 3 to 4 guys smoking in that house. Jack is not very good at cleaning, and I already gave up on trying cleaning it. I told him that I don't want to live in that house. We spoke a bit and decided not to move my stuff to his house after the wedding. I was going to come and stay with him regularly, but not completely move into this house. His rent contract was going to end in October, 5 months after the wedding, and the landlord said they don't want to rent it anymore. We supposed to eventually move elsewhere anyway, but still, I stated that I don't want to live there because that's it. If the landlord changes his mind, I don't want to drop a bomb later on. I wanted him to know that clearly. He said he understood my decision. Together we came up with this plan. After speaking with me, he went to his mom, told her that I don't want to live next door to her, and I will be looking for a new house. Of course, hearing this very boldly like that, she angrily said, "I was going to go to our hometown after your wedding anyway. She won't be living next door to her mother-in-law after the wedding." I don't blame her. What bothers me? I think from now on, Jack and I are a family of our own, and we don't have to share everything happening in our household to our parents. He doesn't understand this. I told him he wasn't supposed to tell her like that. He said he needed to let her know. I told him if he really thinks she should be informed, then he should have told her that we decided to do this together, and it's a decision for us. But instead, he insists that this is my decision, and he won't be telling his mom that he agrees to this decision, and it's taken together. And his reason to this is, "I don't have any issue living in this house with you. You are the one who doesn't want it." I felt like my new family won't be on its feet with this attitude. I thought my fiancé and I were going to be a team and not let anyone bash any of us down. To me, a married couple's supposed to cover each other's acts, so no one else can see them at fault. I discussed this with his family before once. He didn't stand by my side. I chewed that down, but I think this behavior will repeat, and I don't need that. Yesterday I told him that I am tired of trying to make him a husband that I would like to have. I accept his personality as he revealed recently, and I don't want to marry that person. Am I really the a-hole here? If my understanding of family is not correct, I really want to know this. Well, mommy's boys generally can't have their own families, and OP's mother-in-law would have always been involved in their issues and probably influence his opinion on how to go about disagreements. Everything OP said here makes sense to me. It's surely painful, but OP most definitely made the right call. Ultimately, I think this will be an important growing experience for him too. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Alio Westy says, "Not the a-hole and lucky escape. My husband is a right mummy's boy, but she is actually fab, so I'm lucky she's so great. If there was issues with her, then it would have been bad. Stand up for yourself and don't back down. You did right." Forget Regret One Day says, "I wish more women had your foresight. So much time and pain could be avoided if people looked at their potential partner, not just for who they are now, but how their upbringing and family ties will affect their marriage. It's a case of people showing you who they are and choosing to believe them, not hope and pray things will change because they never do. I'm sure this wasn't easy for you, but you deserve a partner who stands next to you and with you, not one who can't make a move without family approval. I wish you all the best. Definitely not the a-hole." Gemini Dragon Pew Pew says, A 29-year-old who lives next to his parents and has only been out of the house for 3 years? Presumably, but yeah, that sounds like a mama's boy refusing to grow up. If he can't grasp why he needed to stand with you after all this time, then he isn't going to make much of a husband. Note 1. There are comments about him being filthy and how I did accept it. Honestly, he made me get used to it. In the first year of our relationship, I never accepted the behavior and tried to fix it. I openly told him that his house is not clean, but he told me, "It's clean to my standards. If you don't feel like it's not up to your standards, you can clean it yourself." I had no issues with cleaning his house. However, I was coming over every 3 to 4 days, staying 4 to 5 hours. 2 hours of it was going on the cleaning. I was kind of hoping he would see that and maybe take better care of his house so we would get to spend some more time, but that didn't happen. I accepted it. This was his way of living and his house. Since I was coming over to the same mess every time, at some point, I told him that I would not be cleaning any further, as it's his house and he was not helping me to maintain it better. I even offered to call a cleaning lady once a week to clean his house, but he did not accept it either. Basically, in time, he made me get used to that. I did my best to accommodate myself without doing unnecessary cleaning when I come. Note 2. I see the comments related to me trying to change him, and it's not cool. You are right. I may have tendencies to try showing him different ways, the way I prefer things. But as you can see in Note 1, even if it's disgusting to me, I was always ready to accept him as the way he is. Besides the cleaning and constantly having friends over, I didn't try to change anything about him. Me saying to him, "I'm tired of trying to make a husband that I would like to have," is because we experienced a situation with his family, with his sister to be exact, where he did not defend me at all once, and later on very similar experience where he didn't prioritize me, but his mom, and threw me right under the bus in our decision. The first situation with his family happened in November. We speak about it in December, and I told him it makes me feel like I'm nothing to him. I told him I want to break up. I told him that I don't accept my husband not prioritizing me. I didn't want to cut it right away. I asked if he would like to try going to couples counseling instead of cutting it completely. He agreed to it, but I think he did it to make me get used to it. He went just to shut my mouth and wait for me to accept his behavior of sharing everything about our relationship. Small update. I spoke to his friend to ask if he is doing okay. He told me that he didn't tell him anything about me yesterday, but he was constantly texting. This friend is very close to him, so if he is not speaking to him, I know he is discussing it with his sister.